I had been driving the night shift for almost 3 years. If you've never done that kind of work, it's hard to explain how quiet a city becomes after midnight. Toledo especially, the streets feel empty in a way that twists your senses. The wind brushing against closed windows sounds louder, the snow muffles everything, and the streetlights cast shadows that seem to stretch too far. Route 12 was my longest route. It cut through the older neighborhoods, crossed the river, and then stretched toward the industrial corridor. By 1 a.m., almost everything was shut down, except for the few warehouses that worked through the night. The quiet settled in like a living thing, pressing against the bus, making the hum of the engine feel loud and oppressive. It was late January. Snow had fallen lightly earlier, the kind that makes every sound softer, like the city itself was holding its breath. I remember glancing at the clock as I pulled out of downtown. 1:14 a.m. I wasn't expecting anyone at this hour. Most of my regular late-night passengers had long since gotten off. But then I saw him standing at stop 47. No shelter, no bench. Just a metal sign bolted into cracked concrete and a flickering streetlight. No one ever waited here that late. And yet there he was, motionless. His dark coat blending with the shadows. The way he turned his head slowly to look at me made my stomach tighten. Like he had been waiting for me all along. We slowed the bus and pulled over. The doors hissed open. He didn't wave, didn't step forward. He just boarded, mid-30s, maybe early 40s, dark jacket, no gloves, no backpack. He paid with exact change and walked straight to the back row. Choosing the seat behind the rear door, I didn't think much of it at first. Late-night passengers are strange sometimes. But as I pulled away, something shifted. The air inside the bus felt heavier. Not physically, mentally, like the silence itself had weight. I checked the mirror. He was sitting perfectly still. Hands folded, eyes forward, staring. Not at his phone, not at the road, just staring. I asked, "Which stop you getting off at?" No response. I asked louder, still nothing. Company policy said not to press passengers, so I let it go, but I kept glancing back. Every time I looked, he hadn't moved an inch. Minutes passed, and the bus seemed smaller, the shadows longer, the hum of the engine louder. The snow outside seemed to fall slower, thicker, almost deliberate, as if the city itself was watching. Then the stop request bell rang. I frowned. I hadn't heard him press it. I pulled over anyway. "Next stop," I called. No one moved. I glanced at the mirror. His seat was empty. I froze. My stomach turned. I walked down the aisle, checked every row. No one, no open windows, no doors had opened. It was impossible. And yet, it was real. I took a deep breath, forced myself back to the driver's seat, thinking it was some glitch. Old buses do that. But then, 2 stops later, the bell rang again, and I felt the cold seep into my bones before I even looked. He was back. Same seat, same posture, same staring eyes. I gripped the wheel, trying not to panic. "This isn't funny," I whispered. The bell rang again and again, faster now. I shouted, "If you want off, tell me where." Slowly he stood, his movement too smooth, too quiet. Footsteps didn't sound like they touched the floor. He stopped beside me. "I missed my stop," he said. Calm, flat, exhausted. "I'll stop at the next one," I said. Forcing my voice steady, he leaned closer. "You already passed it. I can't turn back. I said. "You'll have to get off ahead." He looked past me to the empty seats. "They're still here," he whispered. "Who?" I asked. He smiled. A small, almost human smile. "The others." The lights flickered. I pulled over, opened the doors. He didn't move. Instead, he stepped back and sat down again. My hands shook. I skipped the remaining stops. Drove straight to the depot, ignoring dispatch calls, ignoring everything. When I finally stopped and turned around, the bus was empty, except for scratches on the vinyl seat. A name, a date, and 3 words. Missed stop. Still redeemed. He quit 2 weeks later. Curiosity made me search news archives. The date matched a bus accident from 8 years earlier, Route 12, near the Maumee River. A late-night bus slid off the road into the water. No survivors. I still live in Toledo. I still ride the bus sometimes, and every once in a while, when the stop request bell rings and no one is there, I get off early. After that night, I tried to avoid Route 12 entirely. But the city doesn't let you escape forever. Nights are quiet, streets empty, shadows long. And somehow, the bus seemed to call me back. I went back to driving after a month, mostly the earlier shifts. But the lure of the night and overtime hours pulled me in, and slowly the old feelings returned. The heavy silence, the flickering streetlights, the snow that fell too softly, almost deliberately. And I couldn't shake the thought of him. The passenger who should have been dead. It started gradually. A few weeks later, a late-night stop I didn't expect anyone at. The shadows shifted. Something in the rearview mirror felt off. I saw a figure sitting there, hunched, head down, and I almost swerved before remembering the last experience. I pulled over slowly. No one was there, but the seat was cold, unnaturally cold, like it had been sitting in the snow for hours. I told myself it was exhaustion, my mind playing tricks. But the feeling didn't go away. The bus seemed smaller, tighter, heavier with anticipation. Then came the nights when I couldn't shake it. I picked up passengers who didn't exist. Their faces blurred in the dim interior lights, shadows where limbs should have been. I would glance back and they would vanish, sometimes leaving only whispers. Soft murmurs like a dozen voices breathing all at once. Still riding. Still riding. They would say. My hands would grip the wheel. Heart hammering, I'd try to focus on the road. The hum of the engine, the snow crunching outside. But the voices never left. Always just at the edge of hearing. Always behind me one night. I stopped at a familiar spot near the river. Stop 49, the one that used to be empty at this hour. And there were 6 figures waiting. All of them staring, their coats wet with snow. Faces pale, blurred, distorted in the flickering streetlight. I slammed the brakes, heart racing. The doors hissed open. They didn't move, didn't board. They just stood there, and then one stepped forward. The same dark coat, the same flat expression. The first passenger. And I realized he wasn't alone. These were the others, from the accident, from the river, the ones who never got off. The temperature inside the bus dropped. Breath fogging in front of me, the engine sounded distant. The streetlights flickered faster, almost like a heartbeat. I could feel them. The others, pressing in, not physically, but in the space around me, making the bus smaller, suffocating. Every stop request bell that rang, every flicker of light, every soft murmur. It was them guiding me, trapping me, reminding me that the night belonged to them. Now I started seeing things. Reflections in the windows that weren't there. Faces in the frosted glass. Hands pressed to the interior of the bus. Reaching, pointing, some crying, some smiling. Some just staring. Always staring. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. The city outside became a blur. The snow turned red in my vision. The engine's hum twisted into voices chanting softly. Missed stop. Still riding. I tried calling dispatch. Tried pulling over. Tried shaking it off. But the moment I turned the wheel back onto Route 12, they returned, filling every shadow. Whispering from every corner, then it escalated. The bus seemed alive. The seats moving subtly when I wasn't looking. The lights flickering in rhythm with my heartbeat. One night I saw the first passenger sitting in the middle row, pale, wet coat, staring straight at me. But there was no one there when I looked again, yet I felt the weight of his presence. A cold hand brushing my shoulder, a whisper in my ear. You can't leave now. We ride together. And I realized it wasn't just about missing the stop. It was about me. My soul somehow tethered to the bus, to the route. To the accident, I began to piece together the story. Digging into archives late at night, finding old reports, photographs, names etched into the past 8 years earlier. The accident had killed 12, a late-night bus slipping off the riverbank. Snow and ice, no survivors, but their presence never left the route. Every passenger I saw or didn't see, every whisper, every flicker of light, was them still riding, waiting for someone else to notice, to acknowledge them, to join them in the endless night. The more I drove, the more distorted reality became. Streetlights would stretch into infinity. Shadows would detach from buildings. The snow would swirl unnaturally, forming faces, words, sometimes entire scenes of the accident replaying in the streets. The river frozen in my eyes. The bus slipping off, screams muffled by snow. The dark water swallowing them, and then my own reflection would appear among the dead. Pale, staring, smiling, whispering, "You belong now." Some nights I tried to avoid Route 12 entirely. Took other routes, stayed home, but the pull was magnetic. The city itself seemed to funnel me back. And every time I drove it, the passengers returned. More numerous, more insistent, the bus heavier, darker. The whispers louder, the snow more deliberate. The streets bending into impossible shapes. Sometimes I would see headlights ahead, but no car, just shadows moving like humans, waiting to merge into the bus, to ride forever. And I would grip the wheel, eyes wide, knowing that no matter what I did, Route 12 had claimed me. And the first passenger, the one who started it all, he would appear at the rear door, hands folded, staring. Always staring, sometimes smiling, sometimes just watching. I couldn't escape him, couldn't acknowledge him without inviting more. The others followed his lead, moving in and out of shadows, whispering, brushing past, cold air brushing my neck. I realized then that the bus wasn't just a vehicle. It was a liminal space, a bridge between the living and the dead. And I was trapped in the middle, driver and passenger at the same time. Witness and victim. I thought I knew fear. I thought I had seen the worst the night could offer. But Route 12 had a lesson I wasn't ready for. The snow fell heavier than ever that night, thick. muffling everything except the soft hum of the engine and the faint whispers drifting through the empty bus. Every stop was a blur, streetlights flickering like stuttering hearts, shadows stretching impossibly long, twisting, turning, sometimes forming faces, sometimes entire bodies leaning toward me, and I knew then that tonight they would come for me fully. Not just to haunt, but to claim it began with the first passenger. He appeared at the rear door again, his dark coat wet, hair plastered to his forehead from snow, eyes dead yet burning. He didn't speak at first, just stared, and then the others emerged from the shadows. All 12, the survivors of the river, faces pale, mouths moving, whispering, "Still riding, still riding." I tried to drive faster, tried to shake them off, but the bus no longer responded. The wheel felt heavy, the pedals unyielding, as if the vehicle itself had become part of their realm. The snow outside twisted into shapes of their last moments. Bus slipping, river freezing, screams muffled. Their eyes pleading, accusing, beckoning. I pulled over at the depot, hoping safety was there. But the doors wouldn't open. The lights flickered. And when I looked into the rear-view mirror, the empty seats were full, their hands reaching, faces pressed against the windows, some crying silently, some smiling. And the first passenger leaned forward, whispering, "You can't leave now. You're part of the route." I tried to shout, to call dispatch, to escape, but my voice was gone, swallowed by the cold, the silence, the weight of their presence. I realized then that Route 12 wasn't just a road. It was a liminal space, a bridge where the dead waited, and I had driven onto it fully, without knowing the bus moved on its own, stopping at places I didn't know existed, alleys and streets that weren't on any map, the snow falling in patterns too deliberate, footprints appearing then vanishing, lights flickering in buildings long abandoned. I saw glimpses of the past, the night of the accident replaying in infinite loops, the bus skidding, water rising, passengers screaming, the driver reaching out. And then I saw myself in that moment, pale, wide-eyed, trapped, and I knew they weren't just haunting me. They were teaching me, showing me that the line between the living and the dead on Route 12 was thinner than I had ever imagined hours or maybe minutes past. I couldn't tell. The city outside ceased to exist, replaced by snow, shadows, the river frozen in time. And then the first passenger spoke again, his voice calm, flat. "Do you understand now? You missed your stop. You are still riding." The others whispered it with him. 12 voices, overlapping, echoing, a sound that twisted my mind. And I felt my own hands go cold, my heart slowing, my reflection in the mirror pale, smiling, merging with theirs. I realized I wasn't driving anymore. I was riding, part of the endless night, part of the river, part of Route 12 forever. And then, suddenly, a brief flicker, a moment of clarity. I slammed the brakes, and the bus stopped, doors opening this time, and I ran through the snow, past the empty streets, the flickering lights, past shadows that reached for me and then vanished, the whispers fading but never gone. And when I finally reached the depot, I looked back once, and there it was, Route 12 stretching endlessly, empty, quiet, but I knew the bus still moved, filled with the dead, filled with the lost, and I would never truly escape it. Every late-night ride I took after that, every empty seat, Every stop request bell reminded me that the first passenger had been right. Missed stops never end. The dead never leave. And on Route 12, some rides are eternal. Years have passed since that night. I quit the night shift entirely. I avoid snow. I avoid late-night buses. But sometimes, when the wind howls against my window, or I hear the distant hum of an engine, or the soft flicker of a streetlight in the distance, I feel it, their presence, watching, waiting, whispering. And I know that somewhere, out there, Route 12 keeps moving, filled with the lost, and I am one of them. Still riding, always riding, because some stops can never be missed. Some passengers never leave, and the night never ends.